Swinging a high drive into center field. Hits at the wall. It is gone! Casas does it again. It's gone! It's into the bullpen! This game is tied!
He swings and rips one to center field. It's high, it's deep, it's back, it's gone! Sale winds, he fires. Swing and a miss, strike three, it's over! The Red Sox have won the World Championship!
Welcome back to Play Tessie. We got a bonus Who Says No episode for you today. This is the official Red Sox podcast of WEEI. Before we get going, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening, wherever you're getting your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Odyssey app, wherever you're getting your podcast, subscribe, rate us 5 stars. I know it's not easy to get to that, but you just do it. It helps us out so much. Find us on YouTube on the WEEI channel. You can subscribe there and find our Play Tessie playlist there. You can hit the thumbs up on the videos. Check them out. It's really good stuff on YouTube. Get to see our pretty faces. And as always on the socials, at Play Tessie on both Twitter and Instagram. So I'm here with Sammy. Pat's out today, so just the two of us for this Who Says No. And I have no idea what's coming for this. Sammy has cooked something up. So, man, what? Preface it. Give me some. Don't just throw it on me. Lead up a little bit.
All right. So I think one of the teams that you can expect to deal away major league talent is the St. Louis Cardinals.
I thought you were about to say, I think you can expect one of the teams is the Red Sox.
Yeah. Oh, God. No more of that. Actually, wait until you hear this trade. But the Cardinals have even alluded to like cutting payroll and everything in that realm. So it's fair to assume that they're going to sell. And I spent a lot of the day today reading Cardinals writers, the fan blogs, the media, everything I could get my hands on relating to one player on the Cardinals. And I know a lot of people are going to be thinking Nolan Arenado, but it's not him.
Oh, I thought that's where you were going with that.
It's not the Yoshida contract swap thing that I've seen floating around Twitter. I like that idea, but that's not where I'm going. The Red Sox are losing Kenley Jansen, their closer. He's almost certainly not coming back. So that leaves a pretty big void. The Cardinals have a heck of a closer, and he's on an expiring deal. His name is Ryan Helsley, and I'm bringing him to Boston. Here's the trade, Gordo.
Let's hear it.
Red Sox get Ryan Helsley, Hell's Bells as they call him, just him. The Cardinals, they get David Hamilton, Chase Mydroth, and Wikelman Gonzalez. And I know that sounds weird at first, like why are the Cardinals getting these good but not great players? Well, it's because Ryan Helsley could be on another team in 2026. He's going to probably want to test the market, but let me give you some details. So the Sox are they're taking the risk here. They're getting this expiring contract and they're giving away 3 players. For St. Louis, they get a pretty solid return for just 1 year of Ryan Helsley. David Hamilton and his unbelievable sprint speed, 94th percentile, had somewhat of a breakout campaign in 2024. 32 stolen bases, showed a little bit of pop, 8 home runs and less than 300 at-bats. His overall numbers are kind of hurt by the slow start that he had. He would bounce back, but it wasn't enough to clean everything up. And then his season got cut short. He was bunting and got hit in the finger, and that broke, so he was done. Then you have Chase Mydroth, 23 years old. He's headed to the Cardinals in this scenario. He's knocking on the door of a Major League Baseball debut. 2024, he was great in AAA, posting an .838 OPS. Plays solid defense, nothing amazing, but solid. Multiple spots. Best at second base, but he can play third and short if you need him. Probably going to profile as a utility-type player in Major League Baseball with very good bat-to-ball skills. Speed is pretty average. Cardinals like those guys who play around the field. They have a few of them. And then there's Wikelman Gonzalez. A year ago today, we probably would have said he's one of the best arms in the Red Sox farm system, him or Luis Perales. And you fast forward, and he's coming off a not super impressive campaign in AA. He's still 22, so there's something to work with. He's got a fastball that tops out at 97, got a changeup, curveball, slider, pretty good mix. And despite the not-so-great results, he's striking out batters at a high rate still, 92 over 83.2 innings in 2024. So that's what St. Louis is getting. Some more info on Helsley. One of the better closers in Major League Baseball, and his value probably will never be lower than it is right now. And if it does get lower, it's probably a performance thing, and you don't want him anyway. So 30-year-old Ryan Helsley, he saved 49 games in 2024, 2.04 ERA, and he had 79 strikeouts in 66.1 innings. The caveat, like I mentioned, Boston is taking a big risk with this one. If Ryan Helsley doesn't get extended before the season ends, he will probably hit the open market, and then the Red Sox run the risk of losing Hamilton, Meidroth, and Wickelman Gonzalez with nothing to show for it after just 1 year. Tough look for Craig Breslow if that happens. So one more time, let me go over it. Ryan Helsley, the closer to Boston for David Hamilton, 9th ranked prospect Chase Meidroth, and 20th ranked Wickelman Gonzalez. Who says no?
This is one of the most interesting who says no's that you've ever proposed, because I'm bouncing it back and forth in my head. So obviously the Red Sox need a closer. I'll go point by point. So surprising that Chase Meidroth hasn't needed to be protected from the Rule 5 yet. It feels like he's been around. It feels like he's an older prospect, but not on the 40-man. But David Hamilton, Wickelman Gonzalez, both on the 40-man. So the Red Sox, I mean, yes, they just cleared up a bunch of the 40-man roster to do some Rule 5 protections. We went over that. But when they sign free agents, when they make trades, if guys aren't coming off the 40-man, like, they're going to have to open up spots. So doing this would open up a spot. You talk about the potential of losing Helsley for nothing. If you trade the 3 prospects and you get Helsley for a year, and there's a risk there. But by trading for him now, you actually put a little bit of a pillow under yourself, because you get that a little bit insurance. If Helsley has a good season and he's going to leave, some closers, and I suspect Helsley would fall into that tier if he continues doing what he's been doing. This is a guy who tops 100 miles an hour. I believe had a 2.04 ERA last year. Just an elite reliever. He would decline that qualifying offer, and the Red Sox would get a draft pick back for him, like they just did for Nick Pivetta at the end of the second round. So it's not quite as risky as you would think for a reliever if you do it now. I think actually, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, because you're not trading an elite caliber like I personally, if it's like a top 8 to 10 prospect, like, I'm not personally trading like a Miguel Blaise or a Yoelin Cespedes or a Franklin Arias or any of those guys for 1 year of Ryan Helsley. I'm just not doing it. Not for a reliever and not for a rental. I'm just out on that. But you're into that next tier and you're giving away 3 legitimate guys. I think for the Red Sox, it actually makes a little bit of sense. And now the only question I have is for the Cardinals. It gets a little dicey, because the relief market is always at its hottest at the trade deadline. So would it make sense for them to hold on to Helsley until the deadline? But then the other end of that question is Helsley a good enough pitcher where that question kind of gets offset by the possibility of having that qualifying offer attached to him? Like, yes, you're not going to have as many teams in the market for a relief pitcher in the offseason as you will during the season. But if you trade Helsley during the season, the team that gets him won't have the opportunity to extend him the qualifying offer. So that might take the market a step back down. Maybe that evens out. In the end, if anyone's going to say no to this, my thought is it would be the Cardinals, hoping to get a better headliner and hoping that they could do that in the middle of the season. You look at the Tanner Scott trade last year. The Marlins were able to get more back for Tanner Scott than the Red Sox would be giving in this proposed trade. But I also think that the Padres significantly overpaid for Tanner Scott. That may be more of an outlier than the norm for a rental reliever. And not to mention that Tanner Scott at the time, like, Helsley's amazing. 2.04 ERA is awesome. But I believe Tanner Scott at the time of that trade had like an ERA either just above or below 1. So, I mean, there's levels to this. Andy's a lefty, so that can help in the right situation.
Tanner Scott, when he was traded, had a 1.18 ERA.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a good comp, but also, it's tough to expect other GMs to match what AJ Preller is willing to deal in trades. I really think it's close. I think the Red Sox would say yes. I think doing that is better than taking a stab on, say, like a 1-year closer like Kirby Yates, who's approaching 40. I really like Blake Trinan. I would make him my closer yesterday. So if there might be options I would prefer to offloading prospect capital, but like I said before, you're going to have to offload guys from the 40-man. Like just because the Red Sox cleared up the 40-man now and made a couple of trades at the trade deadline last year to offload some guys that would have needed to be added to the 40-man roster this season, doesn't mean that 40-man roster crunch ends. The Red Sox have done a really good job building up prospect capital, and we're going to get into it all year during the year about what guys break out and are going to need to be protected from next year's 40-man. That problem, because of all of the good work that they've done building up the farm system, it's a good problem to have, but it's going to stick around. So it does make sense to make these 3-for-1, 4-for-1 trades when you can, if you can keep the headliner down. If you're looking at a team on the other end of it that's willing to accept a larger package of lesser tier prospects rather than needing that one headliner.
It's also worth noting that the Cardinals have Chaim Bloom as their GM. He's working in their front office. And he's familiar with all three of these guys. He traded for David Hamilton when he was with the Red Sox, and he knows Wickelman, Gonzalez, and Chase Mydroth well. Two, on top of that, Hamilton is pre-arb still pre-arb. He's expected to make under $1 million this year. He's got a ton of control, and the other two guys not even made major league debuts. So they'd have these guys for a long time. The way I was looking at it, in addition to looking at those Cardinals blogs, I'm trying to think, what kind of moves did Chaim Bloom make when he was with the Red Sox? And he often made these 3-for-1 kind of deals where you get a few dart throws. I'm not sure where Helsley's value is. What I was reading, the Cardinals people, for whatever reason, don't think it's unbelievably high. They think it's good. A lot of them had trades like Mydroth and Winkowski, and then some low-level prospects. But I figured the familiarity, Chaim Bloom would appreciate that, especially Hamilton. You forget how good David Hamilton was this year. I know the overall numbers, people will scoff at that, but when he was hot, he was really good. And like I said, the overall numbers they're kind of cratered by that cold start. We were talking about it on WEI, how you got to get him off the field. He can't be playing. He's got to be out of the lineup. And then all of us kind of had eat a little bit of crow because he played very well after that. It's a shame his season got cut short by the kind of freak injury, getting hit in the finger, has to kill. But he'll be back by spring training, and I think teams will have interest in him. There's going to be other David Hamilton mock trades.
Well, yeah. And to be honest with you, Sammy, and I'll save my David Hamilton mock trade. It's something that we've discussed, but not in podcast form. And I'll save that for when I put together one of these, either next week or the week after or whatever. But looking right in that middle infield crop with David Hamilton right at the top, just because Trevor Story is going to be the starting shortstop. You're probably going to have Vaughn Grissom and Christian Campbell battle it out for second base. And yeah, David Hamilton is an ideal bench piece because he's certainly good enough to be a big leaguer, but he's also really fast and is a great kind of guy that you can insert late in games.
You think that Mydroth's going to get a look if he's not moved? Do you think he'll get a look at second base? And I know it sounds crazy, but 838 OPS in AAA. This isn't a guy who got a cup of coffee in AAA. He played well. He doesn't strike out. He plays good defense. Not great defense, but it's solid. So
he's good enough. He's absolutely good enough to be on a big league team at some point next season. The reason I don't have him getting a chance is it's not anything against him. It's just the guys that are ahead of him, and that's why the Red Sox need to take from that crop in a trade. And a trade for a reliever is the perfect wheelhouse because unless you're dealing Christian Campbell or Marcelo Meyer, you're not dealing from a crop of guys with the highest of ceilings. Vaughn Grissom might also be a guy to discuss there, just because with Christian Campbell's ascent, I don't know how clear, and Marcelo Meyer coming, of course, and Trevor Story still being on the team, I don't know how clear his role on the team is, and maybe that's something that plays itself out. But I like the point that you made about Chaim generally taking those 3-for-1, 4-for-1 type deals. This is right. It's right in his wheelhouse. Honestly, like the Cardinals have some trade candidates. You mentioned Arenado at the start. We've heard a lot about Wilson Contreras. I've heard that he may not waive his no trade clause, so I don't know how much that's worth getting into discussion wise.
Moving to first base apparently, so that crushes his value. If you're going from catcher to first, one of the most valuable defensive positions, to one of the least, that hurts.
Yeah, and for the Red Sox standpoint, I think if they would be to get him, it would be mainly DH and like the occasional fill-in day at catcher. But again, if he's not going to waive the no trade clause, he's not going to waive the no trade clause. I mean, they have some other pieces, but Helsley and Arenado, if Rafael Devers is willing to move off third base, which is obviously a larger discussion for another day. But those would be the options, I think, to look at for the Red Sox. I like the trade that you put together. I really like the idea of taking your middle infield surplus and putting it together and turning it into a piece that can help you right now. And, even if you don't want to extend Helsley, you hope that he stays just as good as he's been and moves on, and you get the qualifying offer pick. And as we will hopefully see this offseason, you can either make that draft pick or you can use it to go and sign another free agent. They're useful as hell.
So some quick notes on Helsley, just to let everyone know how good this guy is. Fastball velocity, the average fastball is a notch below 100, 99.6. He's topped out at 104.2 miles an hour. This guy is a freak of nature. 97th percentile whiff percentage, 90th percentile K percentage. He'll walk a guy here and there. Doesn't get many ground balls, but he also doesn't get barreled up. He hardly ever gets barreled up, which is kind of hard to believe considering a guy throws this hard. You would think that, maybe someone gets the barrel on the ball and it goes flying, and that, especially when you're throwing so many fastballs. But Helsley, just the fit is unbelievable with the Red Sox. It's just, are the Cardinals willing to trade him without getting one of those premier pieces in return? Tough call, man. I agree with you. I think the Red Sox definitely do it. If anyone says no, it's the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
It's tight. It'll also depend on how willing the Red Sox are to go into the season with either an unproven closer in Justin Slayton or potentially hoping that Liam Hendricks can get you those outs in the ninth, or maybe they sign someone to a one-year deal who, like, obviously Kirby Yates was awesome last year, but how sure can you be of a guy pushing 40? So it'll be interesting to see. The closer, as soon as the Red Sox fill in that rotation, maybe handle that right-handed bat, this bullpen situation is going to be a big point of discussion for the Sox this winter. So excited to get into that further. That's all we got for you guys today. So we appreciate you tuning in to our special Who Says No episode, Who Says No edition. We will be back in your ears on Monday for our next episode, but before you get out of here, before you move on with your day, remember, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, rate 5 stars. Check us out on YouTube, on the WEI channel. We got a Play Tessie playlist there. So hit the thumbs up there. See our faces. It's great. I promise. I love looking at Sammy. Then also find us on the socials at Play Tessie on both Twitter and Instagram. For Sammy and for Joe producing, it is Gordo here. Thanks for tuning in to Who Says No with the Play Tessie fellas. Till next time, peace.